أنا قاعدة بشحت عشان أطعمي ولادي وبلاقيش.
زمان يعني قبل الحرب كان يعني وضعنا كويس، يعني مش محتاجين إن نقف نصف على الطابور للتحصيل.
الجسم كله ركبه المرض، ولادي مرضى من قلة الأكل.
ولدي بيطلب اللحمة، بقول له يما من وين بدي أجيب لك لحمة؟
Bombardment, displacement, lack of food, long queues for food and water. This is the harsh reality for people in Palestine's Gaza. Now the UN is warning that 2.2 million Palestinians in the blockaded enclave, already facing food shortages, are at risk of famine. About 50% of the population are facing emergency levels of food insecurity, and 17% are at risk of starvation. Let me break it down even further. 9 out of 10 Palestinians are eating less than 1 meal a day. So how is Gaza succumbing to famine? The answer is in Israel's actions. Here's what you should know. Gaza has been blockaded by Israel by land, air, and sea for the past 16 years. Yes, even before the war. But after the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7, Israel's far-right government tightened its grip and implemented drastic measures.
אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
Before Israel imposed this total siege on the enclave, 80% of Gaza were already dependent on international aid due to Israel's long-running blockade, and around 500 trucks containing various supplies enter the Palestinian territory daily. Now, food, water, medicine, and fuel are scarce, and the crippling siege has made it extremely difficult for Palestinians to access basic commodities. Even with Israel allowing a nominal amount of trucks to trickle into Gaza upon heavy inspection, the aid reaching its people still isn't adequate.
The food is just not, there's not enough coming in, and there's not enough to feed the 2 million people who are in the Gaza Strip.
Aerial bombardment and ground strikes by the Israeli army have caused significant destruction to Gaza's food system and more than 60% of its infrastructure. Storage facilities and bakeries have been decimated. Israel's continuous strikes have disrupted the safe delivery and distribution of aid within the enclave. Very little aid has been able to reach the north of Gaza, where it is desperately needed.
We request coordination. We coordinate with the parties to the conflict that we can move safely. And those requests have consistently, for the last few days, been denied.
Israel's relentless bombardment has destroyed more than 22% of Gaza's agricultural land and 70% of its fishing fleet, and fishermen aren't even allowed to access the sea.
وجربوا طبعا اغلب الاراضي ما ضلش ولا خضره ولا ضل فواكه ولا خضروات ولا حمضيات ولا اي شيء.
Basic commodities like rice, sugar, milk, and cooking oil are hard to come by and expensive when available. This is happening at a time when the majority of Gaza's population has no income. Palestinians are finding alternative ways to survive, including using animal feed as flour. Human rights groups are accusing Israel of deliberately using starvation as a weapon of warfare, which is a war crime. The catastrophic food scarcity and the threat of famine could add to the death toll, which currently stands at over 25,700.
We're exploring all possible solutions, but none are sufficient in the face of obstacles. There are people starving in areas, and we are not able to give basic food for. The needs are rising faster than we are able to respond.
With the UN warning that the risk of famine could be exacerbated as long as the war continues, seizing the violence and allowing sufficient aid in are key to averting a cataclysmic humanitarian disaster. But will Israel buckle to the pressure of growing calls for a ceasefire?